Alright, we're going to talk about the state of SBMM and Apex, and if you have gone on Twitter, played the game, read it, I don't think it matters where you go at this point. You have seen probably so many people complain about the way the game feels right now, and it definitely feels like there is something wrong. I've played every single season of Apex, so I can tell you when something kind of feels different, and this season in specific, it feels like the game just got way too hard out of nowhere. And I've seen some DMs of the developers of the game saying that they didn't change SBMM at all when Season 18 dropped. But it's kind of just hard to take their word on it, especially given in the past, if anyone remembers. Respawn had nerfed the loot in Fragment East, and then they denied ever changing the loot, and then it took them a long time to come out and say like, oh yeah, wait, we actually did nerf the loot in Fragment East. So of course it's happened in the past where they either hide the truth or they make a change without realizing it. Or, you know, maybe somewhere along the line, communication between devs didn't fully go the way it should have, and then some devs knew it was nerfed and some didn't. Not sure, but that's not the point of this video. So let's really talk about SBMM now, and I'm going to talk about pubs and ranked because it is affecting both pretty severely, I would say. But I'm going to start with pubs because that's kind of more my field. So when Season 18 dropped, the first few days was really hard. Like, I mean, it's basically triple pred, 3 stacks running Horizon Seer out here in pubs. Seer's a overstatement because he kind of sucks now, but you get the idea. And yeah, I assumed it was just because it was a new season and maybe all the sweats got back on the game. So I was going to give it a few days to see if it died down. But now I believe we're over 2 weeks into the season and it is just absolutely horrendous to play if you are a solo queuer. Now I have high hidden MMR, so I can't speak for the lower end. But from what I've seen, even people who are just genuine casuals at the game, who they would probably even consider themselves not that good at the game, I have seen so many of them complaining about how hard the lobbies are. So I feel comfortable saying that this is clearly not just like a higher end of Apex issue right now. Anyone who has a decently higher SBMM would definitely say that it is just unrelentless 3 stacks in pubs and it's basically unwinnable. Even a majority of my games, I only play solo queue. Even a lot of my teammates are people who have been like pred, they have 4K 20 badges, like all those type of things. I'm not a fan of being a solo queuer and then given just absolutely insane teammates at the same time. Just because 1, it makes the game too easy, and then 2, it ruins the experience for everyone else in the lobby. And I feel like this is something Respawn really just can't seem to grasp. When you throw a bunch of sweaty players into one lobby, it is fun for literally nobody. And in Season 18, pretty much the entire lobby is sweaty. I feel like I am playing ALGS round 4 with $50,000 on the line every time I queue a pub. And yeah, if you've played pubs this season, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about already. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a couple really good players per lobby, but you need them spread out and don't make it 3 stacks. Here's my hot take on the situation, and I don't know if people would agree with this, but I think if you are all 3 good players, so your hidden MMR is really high, and you are 3 stacking into a pub, the game should prioritize only making you face other people who are in a pre-made party as well. I'm not only saying this because I'm a content creator who's solo queue, so obviously, you know, being solo queue, it really sucks having to play against pre-mades. But I think this affects a lot more people than just the content creators. I don't have data, so I can't say this for sure, but I feel like a majority of all Apex players are either solo queuers to duo queuers. And I think prioritizing putting full pre-made 3 stacks into their own lobbies would be huge. And if that's how you want to play the game, there's nothing wrong with that. When I complain about 3 stacking, it's not really the people themselves I'm complaining about. It's the fact that Respawn's matchmaking system just knows that I have decent hidden MMR, so I always have to face people that puts me at an unfair fight. Like, dude, just because I am decent at the game does not mean I am going to win every fight against someone who is slightly worse than me. And this is what the system I just feel fails to realize, is if you take 3 people who are slightly worse than me and put them in a pre-made, they're gonna beat me 9 out of 10 times. This game is way too punishing for solo queue players to be forced to have to deal with what we deal with right now. There is literally no such thing as getting on this game casually right now. So I want to bring something up that I saw on the Apex Legends official Reddit. And this thread here is talking about the matchmaking system and kind of how it works right now. If I scroll down, the first comment that comes up says, "Has Respawn said anything about the pubs matchmaking? I feel like most people complain about pubs. Ranked being sweaty is normal in my opinion, or at least it should be a significant difference with pubs." And if I go down a little further, we have a Respawn dev who actually replied and said, definitely hear the constant feedback about it. We are looking at the pubs matchmaking at the moment. And we have a reply to the dev's reply saying, is there any point to pubs and ranked having the same matchmaking? You're just taking away a choice. So I think what this guy is kind of saying is the SBMM and ranked and pubs feel so similar that if it weren't for the badge in the top right of your screen, you would have no idea which game mode you're actually even playing. And we have the Respawn dev who replied to that again, and he said, don't shoot the messenger, we are working on it. And it got a lot of downvotes, as you can see, because it's not exactly an answer that you probably are looking for. Let me talk about the way this dev replied, because I feel like I may have a little more insight than most people on kind of how it works. So I understand that this is not the answer people are looking for, especially with how bad SBMM feels right now. You want an answer, a direct answer, and you want at least a proposed solution so you know where they're at least attempting to take it. And I feel the same way. It would be nice to get an answer like that. But a long time ago, I wanted to do an interview with a Respawn developer about other stuff, not related to SBMM, but it was Apex related. And it never ended up happening because he told me, he was like, you have to give me a list of all the questions you're going to ask and I have to get it approved by Respawn/EA. So these devs who communicate with us on these social medias, they are very limited to what they can say because they have to be approved by the higher ups of the company. If I had to guess, this guy wanted to tell us more, but he legitimately probably is just not allowed to. You know, these people like this, they just make the game. They don't really make the decisions of the game, if that makes sense. Trust me, I complain about the game a lot, so I'm not normally one to come to like the defense of Respawn. But a lot of these people are just doing the job in the constraints that they have. I wouldn't really blame this guy too much. To wrap up the whole pub section of this video though, let me just give a quick summary of at least what I think would be a good solution. Because the way it is now is actually just so unenjoyable that I struggle to even open the game right now. I think a good solution would be, first off, make 3 stacks have a priority into other 3 stacks. I think as a solo queuer, at most, I should only have to face maybe like 1 to 2 per lobby at max. And also kind of loosen up a little bit on the hidden MMR. I think it's good to try to keep lower levels away from the higher levels, but I think putting a couple higher levels per lobby is not an issue at all. At least in my experience, that is kind of how gaming worked my entire life. There's always the average people in the lobby, and then there's always a couple really good players. And that's just always how it's been, and I've never felt there was an issue with that. I think that benefits us content creators because it makes getting content a little easier. And I think overall it makes the lobbies just easier for everyone in general. The way it feels right now, it's just like, alright, let's put every single good player we have in the game in a single lobby and just see what happens. It's not fun. But I definitely think the main focus should be on the sweaty 3 stacks because whether you're 3 stacking or not, it almost changes nothing. If you're a good player but you're solo queue, you're still probably never going to win that fight. If you're a 3 stack but you're all decent players, you're still probably never going to win that fight. Maybe I'm alone in that take, but that is what makes the game the hardest and most unenjoyable for me. Now this is kind of becoming a long video already, so I won't talk about rank too long. But the way it works right now clearly has some flaws. And to me, it seems very strange to be matched based on how good the game thinks you are and not your rank. So this is kind of my big question here is what is the point of ranked if you are not matched based on your rank? If you want to comment and tell me the logic behind it, go ahead. I'm not saying I am right here, but I genuinely don't understand the point of ranked now. And it feels like if you have high hidden MMR, you gain less LP than someone with low hidden MMR. It feels like if the game thinks you're good, it tries to keep you in lower ranks longer. Which I'm thinking is because they don't want people to get the pred just immediately on new seasons or something. I'm not entirely sure. I did my placements recently and I ended up placing like silver 3 or something. I don't know. I placed pretty low, I can tell you that. And during my placements in silver and gold, why am I facing Apex Predators? I feel like there is no feeling of natural progression anymore because I am facing the same players at every single rank of the game. And I feel like this sentiment just applies to literally every single player in the game. Do you feel like you're making any natural progression when everyone you're facing is the same skill level at every single rank in the game? I'm not saying the old rank system was exactly perfect either, but at least back then, you could feel the difference in skill as you went up tiers. You legitimately don't feel that anymore. If you took away the badge in the top right of my screen and you told me I was playing pubs, I would 100% believe it. Because that's all ranked is now. You're playing for a cosmetic. You're not playing because it feels like ranked. And even after the season 18 changes to ranked after coming off season 17, which clearly needed some rank changes, the game still rewards you the most for ratting. To an extent, I like that. End games do feel a lot better now, but with how little it feels KP rewards you, it is forcing you into only one playstyle. And that one playstyle you're being forced into, if you wanted to, could mean you all three jump out of the ship in different spots of the map and sit in a tree for the rest of the game. I understand and I like the idea they were going for, but it doesn't support good gameplay. The solution for this that I think would be decent is so you can still keep some level of hidden MMR, but make it so after a certain rank, these people will not be in the same lobby as me. So I'm in silver right now facing Apex Predators. Make it so people my skill level, if they are above platinum, cannot be in my lobby regardless if the game feels that we are equal in terms of skill. I think this way, you still overall will have harder lobbies, which I think a good amount of people did want in the game, but it'll add some feeling of natural progression back to ranking. And that's just an example, but let's say I'm in gold and hidden MMR is still the deciding factor of how I'm being matched. Make it so say anyone in diamond or above cannot be in my lobby even if they are the same skill level. Those are kind of just examples, but I think a system like this, where hidden MMR is still applied, but it kind of falls off after a certain tier, would make it really good. And that's really kind of all I have for ranked. It just feels like pubs, but with a badge in the right corner of the screen. This video was not made to bash Respawn. I kind of wanted to just vent a little bit and see if anyone else is kind of feeling the way I'm feeling, although at least I know the content creators are. And at least give some potential solutions that if they ever watch this video, maybe they could take some ideas from it. I'm sorry if the video sounds like it has kind of a content creator bias. I try to also think for more casual players at the same time. But, you know, of course, I have to speak in the field that I have the most experience on. But yeah, thank you for watching, and if you want to let me know what you think, you can comment down below.